And welcome back to Hot Stove. We asked Harold his thoughts earlier on when and everybody has their guess as to where, but let's bring in JP Morosi for the Ohtani portion of the conversation. Leading the league in information, you have some, I guess, new-ish information on the pursuit of one specific team in the free agency sweepstakes of Ohtani.
Matt and Harold, good morning. By the way, great job on the grid so far. I'll have a couple contributions later on if you want.
Nice.
But most importantly, to the here and now, Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto with the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are right now set on trying to acquire one or the other. They're pursuing both very aggressively, and it gets back to something that you and Harold talked about in the first segment of the show. The Los Angeles Dodgers. How do the Giants find a way to compete with the Dodgers? The Dodgers are always there every year. You make the point about Jason Hayward. The Giants have tried, whether it was Bryce Harper years ago, last offseason, they thought they had a really good chance at Aaron Judge. They were right there. They had an agreement with Carlos Correa. That fell apart. They have been trying for so long to land the iconic player. In the midst of all of that, they had Buster Posey retire, perhaps earlier than they expected. This is a flagship franchise in Major League Baseball that is looking for a new identity. And Shohei Ohtani, when you think about one of their West Coast rivals in the Angels, they've had him since the beginning. Their chief division rival in the Dodgers, they want him. Shohei Ohtani for the Giants would mean more than probably any other team acquiring him, because of what he would mean, yes, to the Japanese American fan base in the Bay Area. But more broadly speaking, it's on the field. They need to find a way to get back into this National League West race. Of course, there was the 1 year where the Giants had the division, but the Dodgers have been the team in that division for a long time. And again, sources tell me the Giants are set. They are devoting their full heart and finances to landing one of Shohei Ohtani or Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the coming weeks.
Even if they got Yamamoto, that'd be one thing, but the Giants need a star. They're like the only team that of that caliber that does not have a signature player. When you turn them on and you go, oh, I'm watching this guy play. It's unbelievable for the Giants not to have that.
Well, but think about it. If they had signed Aaron Judge under last year's administration, they probably would have sat him in the fifth inning when the right-hander came in out of the bullpen. So, I'd like to see the Giants kind of change the stripes on how they write a lineup card, and I think they will now under new management.
Yeah.
Let your players play, man. Give me a guy that can have 4 at-bats a game. There's no reason why Mike Yastrzemski can't hit against lefties. I don't need this caravan of analytics matchups every day. It sucks for fans.
Yeah.
Well, and to pick up on that point, when you look at the Giants lineup and you look at their rotation, what the Giants can present to Shohei Ohtani in particular is not necessarily a fully blank canvas, but basically that, because they can say we're comfortable. If we want to do a 6-man rotation once you come back and pitch in 25, we can do that. If you want to be able to play, have this position in the lineup or wherever it's going to be, we can open this up for you. This becomes your team. You're not joining a club that has a lot of veterans that are very set in their ways that have to have this particular day or that particular day. This is it. And you think about Bob Melvin and what a difficult team he had to manage in San Diego the last couple of years. A lot of personalities, a lot of issues in that clubhouse. This is going to feel like being able to have your own course and your own flexibility for Bob. Yes, a superstar, iconic player in Shohei who does have some rules with him, but this is going to seem like a much easier lift for him than what he had to deal with last year. So for so many reasons, for an ownership group that's looking for their chance to really stamp their time on this organization in this post-Buster Posey era for them, this is the exact right player at the exact right time for the right franchise for the Giants to go all in on Shohei Ohtani.
I think we all agree with that, but that's the perspective from ownership. At the end of the day, it's Ohtani's decision. And for me, that's not enough. He said one thing consistently: I want to win. He's had all that same stuff we just talked about in Anaheim. They didn't win. He wants to go where they win. That's why I think the Giants are in a little bit more of an uphill battle, and the other clubs too, because at the end of the day, we can all make a position. I can make a point for him to work here at the MLB Network. But at the end of the day, he wants to win. And that's what people have to present to him. We're winning right now with you. And I don't know if he wants to be that aircraft carrier. He's going to need more than him to win.
Well, Harold, I love this discussion. I'll make one last point on it about Ohtani and whether it's the Dodgers or Giants. You talked about Jason Hayward. And Jason Hayward, the character that he brings to an organization, the production that he had, the way that his productivity picked up so much in 2023, that speaks to what the Dodgers have. Culture. They have got, when you think about Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, they have, and Dave Roberts told us this during the course of the year, superstars who grind. There are not a lot of teams that have a culture like that. Guys that are in the lineup every single day, future Hall of Fame type talents who have that grinder mentality. That's when you know you've got a very special culture. That's why Jason Hayward came in and has been so productive. And you cannot create that in the span of one off season. You do that over a long period of time. You got to credit Dave Roberts for that, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, the front office there. But that is player-driven and manager-driven. And Dave Roberts, with his group of players, has created exactly the kind of atmosphere that Shohei Ohtani has been looking for. And it's up to the Giants to try to find a way to put together a compelling argument that brings him away from that.
You know what's scary, real quick, and last point on this is what you brought up yesterday. The Braves all of a sudden really start to make sense to me.
It does make a little bit more sense.
I never even thought about it.
I still think that there is a geography preference for Ohtani to be in the West, but that doesn't mean a team like the Braves couldn't enter in because they're so good, because he wants to hit the ground running with a winner, and I don't think New York, Boston is his taste. That's all personal guessing. Let's move on, though. Let's get off of Ohtani for a moment, and let's get to two players who are under contract for 2024, whose names are popping up in the trade market. We're led to believe Tyler Glasnow's name might have been dangled at last year's deadline. Not sure you can say the same for Shane Bieber, but there is interest in both of those names for multiple teams.
Yes, in the last 24 hours, Matt, I was receiving information that the markets for both Glasnow and Bieber are strong in the trade department, and that the Cubs and Reds are involved in each. Now, that's confirming reports on earlier about Tyler Glasnow being under discussion by the Cincinnati Reds, but it all lines up because we think about the high end of the starting pitching market. And everything that we've heard about Yamamoto is that he wants to go to large market, marquee franchises. Certainly the Cubs would fit that description, but there's going to be a high level of competition for him. So it makes sense for any team that's not the Dodgers or Yankees or Giants, let's say, to start lining up other possibilities. And even though a great many options still exist on the free agent market, Glasnow and Bieber are among the top candidates in the trade market. And very importantly for Bieber, we've talked about this before. Yes, he's missed some time due to injury, but very quietly, at the end of the season this past year, 2023, he came back and made 2 healthy starts at the very end. And that was important for him and for the Guardians that Bieber ended the year on the active roster healthy. So teams had a chance to watch Bieber pitch late. And Harold, I saw late in the season, he was there in Detroit. There were scouts there from teams looking at Bieber to make sure that he was healthy. And overall, the returns were pretty good. So those teams, and you've talked before, Padres are an option, Giants as well. And that's another piece of this whole equation, that if you're the Giants and if you want to put together a compelling case to bring in Ohtani, upgrade your pitching now with people who you know can really have a high-level performance. Make a trade for Bieber even before you make that final sales pitch to sign Ohtani.
Makes sense.
You might have to get Justin Bieber.
Let me hit you on one additional name while we're talking pitching, and this is in the free agent market. No shortage of suitors for Blake Snell, of course. We all know famously he's from the Pacific Northwest. Tim Lincecum never got back up there as a Seattle kid to pitch professionally. Might Blake Snell be a fit for the Mariners?
Well, Matt, he has been talking about the pride that he has in his hometown, and notably over the last weekend, he was there raising the 12th man flag. There he is, CenturyLink Field, downtown Seattle. The Seahawks playing the Niners on Thanksgiving night, wearing the number 12 jersey. Of course, Harold, you know that city well. What ballpark is just across the street from there? I can't think of it. So, again,
something T-Mobile or something next door.
I think you're right. Now the one thing about the Mariners, there he is at the Apple Cup, of course, the Pac-12 showdown between the Huskies and the Cougars. We may well see the Huskies meet Michigan in the national semifinal.
No, you're not.
But long before that happens, Harold, let's get into it, because I know they're going to play the Ducks. But let's get into this, though, on Blake Snell and the Seattle Mariners. The key point about Seattle, you might say, well, John, why would the Mariners, with all that pitching, sign a free agent pitcher? And the reason is, if you bring in Blake Snell, and you know, Harold, how much pitchers love to pitch at T-Mobile in Seattle, that allows you the flexibility to trade a Bryce Miller, to trade a Brian Wu for a bat, like maybe a Pete Alonso at some point in time. So use your identity. Seattle's identity has always been pitchers love going there, especially someone who's from the West Coast and from Seattle and Blake Snell. And then utilize your depth to trade for the bat, because we know free agent hitters have been a little more reticent to sign with the Mariners over the years.
Big-time players we're talking about on this Tuesday morning on the trade and free agent market. JP Morosi will join us a little bit later on for more of that discussion on this installment of The Stove.
Thanks, JP.